Hello everyone, my name is Adrian Lloyd and this is just my stupid opinion, and I want to welcome you back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing the atheist group that is being targeted by Malaysian government. Malaysia's government says it will re-educate ex-Muslims who took part in an atheist meeting after a photo of the event went viral. Last week, the Kuala Lumpur Consulate of Atheist Republic, a global support group for atheists, held its annual conference. The group posted a photo to the gathering on Facebook and said it was such a blast. The image spread quickly, including several Islamic blogs and sites. Malaysia's deputy minister, who oversees religious affairs, said the government would investigate the group and find out if any Muslims were involved in the meeting. If it is proven that there are Muslims involved in atheist activities that could affect the faith, the state Islamic religious department could take action, said Dr. Azaraf Waji Dusuki. I gotta tell you, right now I'm very happy that I don't live in Malaysia because this is some Orwellian shit right now. Whenever any government says that they're looking into your activities and are prepared to re-educate you, that is fucked up and wrong. Nobody should ever be re-educating you on your personal beliefs, especially not some government authority. There are still many countries around the world where atheists are targeted, and to be an atheist means you are put to death. And unsurprisingly, they are mostly within the Muslim world. Actually, they're all within the Muslim world. All of them are within the Muslim world. And other sorts of repression against atheists in other countries are not as great, but they still do extend to certain areas. One would be politically. Atheism, if you are an atheist in America, you have no political career. In fact, in some states, you are still banned from even running for political office. And there's certain things you can't do. In some countries, they may not kill you, but they will not allow you to marry, and you will not have access to certain programs. And you don't get the same access as the average everyday citizen does if you're an atheist in some of these countries. So while being an atheist is not as the danger it used to be in many countries, there's still some countries where you have to be quiet and in the closet about your atheism. It's unfortunate, but it's true. He said the government would take a soft approach in dealing with the issue. He said ex-Muslims who took part in the gathering would be given counseling. Quote, perhaps they are ignorant on the truth of Islam, so we need to engage them and educate them on the right teachings. End quote. No, actually, the atheists are very sure about your doctrine. They probably know it better than you in some regards. Because that's one thing about atheists. If you're big into your religion, you probably know more than an atheist. But an atheist probably knows more about other people's religion than the average day-to-day Christian or Muslim. Because we've looked into it. And these are the sort of things that drove us away. So these atheists don't need re-education. They've made up their mind. And believe me, in my opinion, they made the right choice. And one thing that made me happy, though, about this is Atheist Republic's founder, Armin Navabi, said atheists are being treated like criminals. Who are they harming? It's very true, but he was very defensive of the group. As soon as he found this out, I actually follow him and Atheist Republic on Twitter. And he was immediately, when he heard about this, very defensive of everyone in the group. And he's been doing everything he can in his power to make sure that the group is protected. I wish there was something I could do too. I don't know what, but I think putting the message out about what's being done is something. It might not be the best thing, but it's something. Sorry folks, my camera died, so I'm going to have to continue this with the avatar. How did these atheists get outed? Well, when they posted their photo onto social media, many Muslim citizens descended all on them, and there were many comments left, terrible ones. Some were calling for their deaths because apostates are called to be killed in the Muslim religion. Some were calling for imprisonment, but many called for the government to do something about it. So the government decided to do something about it, and now we have a group of atheists that we don't know what's going to happen to them. Here's some of the things that are being said. Yep, so as it says here, the Muslim majority country has freedom of religion laws enshrined in the Constitution, stating every person has the right to profess and to practice his or her religion. However, leaving the Muslim faith can still prove difficult. As Malaysia is a federation, matters of religion are handled by state government with punishments for apostasy ranging from a fine and strokes of the rotan, caning, to a 5-year prison sentence depending on the laws of the state. Yeah, it might just be imprisonment, but many people are calling for their deaths. This is dangerous for them. And the problem is, it's just about wherever you go as an atheist, people view you, you're technically viewed the same way. I have no problem going up to a Christian and admitting I'm an atheist, but depending where you are, if you were to admit that to in a Muslim dominated area, you might want to be careful. So this report came out on the 11th of August, saying that they are probing into them. This is the latest one I could find, is the 11th of August. The Jawi, which is the Federal Territory Islamic Religious Department, their director said in a statement that the department was constantly monitoring not only atheists, but any groups which violates the law. So it is against the law just to be an atheist, just to say you don't believe in their religion. Well, actually, technically, when you're an atheist, you're saying you don't believe in any religion at all, so they probably would be fine if you were anything else. If you said you were a Christian, you said you were a Jew, a Hindu, but not an atheist. Prior to this, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Shahidan Qasim, urged the authorities, especially the Islamic religious councils, to actively pursue atheist groups, and if it involves Muslims, to restore their faith. Aziz said Jawi would call and advise any Muslim in the federal territory who are found to be involved in the gathering. He added that the spread of atheist ideology in the federal territories could be subjected to action under the Sharia Criminal Offense Act. What are they doing? I mean, it was already stated by the leader of Atheist Republic. But what have these guys done? All they're saying is they don't believe the same thing. They don't believe in any God, and suddenly they're scum of the earth. They're immoral. Well, somehow I feel calling for somebody's death because they don't believe in what you believe way more immoral. I think even giving somebody a fine because they don't believe what you believe is super immoral. And we have a report from 2014, which says Malaysia among nations least tolerant of atheists and free thinkers. You don't surprise me with that one. Amid a global decline in religious beliefs, some governments are stepping up efforts to portray atheists and secularists as a danger to society and even as terrorists, according to a report issued Monday. So we're terrorists now. We're just as bad as ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and everybody else. How awesome. The study by the International Humanist and Ethical Union pointed to hate campaigns launched by public figures against those who renounce the dominant or state religion of Muslim nations like Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Egypt. Hate campaigns. That's just a fancy word for saying they're speaking out against the religion. You know who says it gets called running hate campaigns? Ayan Hirsi Ali, an atheist who speaks out against Islam because she is a victim of female genital mutilation. She almost got forced into an arranged marriage when she escaped. So she's literally a victim, yet she runs a hate campaign. This is probably not one of the ones they're talking about in here, but that's just an example of how hate campaigns is a fancy term used against atheists. It said, quote, "The overwhelming majority of countries fail to respect the rights of atheists and free thinkers," end quote. In some countries, like Russia, where communist ideology has been replaced by Orthodox Christianity, which dominated before the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution, any public expression of atheist views can be equated with blasphemy and criminalized. That has to do because many people will directly blame atheism for what happened under communism. But plenty of people have talked about in the past about how communism was all about power. It had very little to do with atheism itself. They are atheists because they believed that religion was a form of power. So they were atheists because they wanted to take that power away from the church, which actually did have a lot of influence over people, which they did. And yes, they did target religious people, without a doubt. But religious people, religious deaths, and religious persecution under communism was only a minor percentage of those that were either killed or imprisoned in their gulags. Most of them came from unions and opposite political parties. Most of it had to do with people who just opposed communism and who weren't left-wing enough for the communists and for Stalin or everybody in power. So you can't rightfully accuse that to atheism no more than you can rightfully accuse the Holocaust to Christianity. Majority of Germans were Christian during that time. Would you say that it was Christianity that caused the Holocaust? I wouldn't. I would say it was a crazy fucking psychotic genocidal regime that caused the death of millions of people. I'm going to be sort of keeping my eye on this, see if I hear anything about this group that is being persecuted. But this just shows how, even though these days a lot of religious people who are pushing back against secularization and atheism will talk about how how Christians are being persecuted more than atheists. They're the new persecuted group, which in some situations is absolutely true. If we look towards the Middle East, Christians are some of the most persecuted groups over there, but not here at home. They're not one of the most persecuted groups. Now, there are some times that they get the short end of the stick, sure, but you know what? Really not that much compared to other groups, and I would still agree that's still not that much compared to atheists, even in today's world, even in the Western world. Even though there are more secularists and non-believers. And the same sort of slander against atheists don't hold as well as they used to. There's still things we can't do. People will still look at you like you're scum. Yet anybody that does something bad can apparently get away with it simply by uttering the words, "I'm a Christian." That being said, there is a sect of atheism that has been pissing me off recently, and that's more of I guess those are more the Marxist atheists, I suppose, because these are the sort of people that are the ones that'll say that Christians are the worst people in the world, Jews are the worst people in the world, and cause all the shit, but anybody who criticizes Islam is Islamophobic and racist. No, we can criticize any religion we want, especially when you're an atheist, because that's what you do. You criticize other religions. And this is supposed to be a moderate Muslim country. Yet these people are being persecuted. It's hard to say. A lot of people give atheists, but more specifically new atheists, a hard time saying that they're Islamophobic for the criticisms that they do throw out towards Islam and the doctrine that comes along with it. But can you really claim them to be Islamophobic when on the other side, in a country dominated by the Islamic doctrine, they're getting imprisoned and killed? And that's not just restricted to atheists. Christians won't be able to practice their religion. Jews won't. Oh, fuck. Jews definitely won't if they even live. It's happened many times before. In many countries, the Bible isn't even allowed in some of these Muslim worlds. They won't allow it whatsoever. So we get called here on the West Islamophobic and intolerant. But on the other side, people are actually legitimately getting imprisoned, caned, sentenced to death over a different religious belief or no religious belief. It saddens me to say that by more than halfway through 2017, we're still having this go on. But make sure you spread this message out there, though, because we need to make sure that these people, that everybody knows that this atheist group is being targeted, so that way we can do whatever possible to protect them. I don't want to sound too tribalist when I say this, but we got to protect our own. If atheists are in trouble, other atheists have to come together to defend them. Because right now we're not going to get much help anywhere else in the world, so we need to help each other. I want to thank you for tuning in here. My name is Adrian Lloyd. This is just my stupid opinion, and I'll be coming at you soon for another episode. You profit from fear and hate, hoarding wealth and amassing power. The world
rat or coward.